Hello, amazing entrepreneur. It's Tash Corbin here, and welcome to another episode of the Heart-Centered Business Podcast. This is episode number 203, so you can find all the show notes as well as any relevant links at tashcorbin.com/203. In today's episode, I'm going to share with you the 7 surprising habits that support my business growth. And I'm not going to be focusing on the business as usual, things that you would probably expect. I'm going to talk about the 7 things that might just surprise you. So let's peel back the curtain and jump straight into it. I'm Tash Corbin, and this is the Heart-Centered Business Podcast. Okay, so I'm just going to jump straight into these 7 habits, and I want to talk about them through the lens of why they support my business growth, and also encourage you to think about what habits you need to put into place to ensure that you are supporting your business growth as well. So habit number 1 is eating completely gluten-free. And this has been something that I have tried to do and failed to do and been on the wagon and off the wagon for many, many years now. And I know that gluten is not good for my body. It's not good for my system. I have had many a naturopath and doctor tell me that I should not be eating gluten, and yet delicious gluten just kept creeping back into my eating. And I have now been completely gluten-free, aside from a couple of accidents, for at least 4 months now, and it has made a significant difference to how I feel. Now, the big thing for me is messing with brain fog. So the biggest impact that gluten has on me is the physical discomfort, and it really messes with my digestive system, and I get really bloated and I have no appetite. I lose my sense of hunger for weeks after consuming gluten. So then I have no desire to eat food, and then I just kind of snack on low nutrition things. It creates this huge cycle for me. But I want you to think about this. Gluten is very specific to me, and I know most people probably shouldn't consume gluten, blah, 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 but that's not what I'm talking about today. But I want you to think about, what is that one thing that your body needs from you that should be a consistent habit, and can you make it a priority? Because I can directly link my consumption of gluten with dips in my income in my business, dips in my productivity, dips in my effectiveness, dips in my energy. Some of the big gaps in where I didn't release podcast episodes for extended periods of time was because I was feeling so lethargic and so much brain fog that there were times when I would turn on my recording system to record a podcast episode, and after an hour, I still hadn't formed 3 coherent sentences. And I know that that was because of what I was putting into my body. So I just use gluten as the one sexy example, but it might be that you need to hydrate more effectively. Maybe you're not getting enough vegetables. Maybe you need to get a variety of colors of the rainbow into your system. Maybe you need to stay away from gluten or sugar or dairy or whatever it might be for you. But there's something that it means that your body is not optimized in terms of its performance. And particularly for that one, it's what I'm putting into my mouth. So that is a really interesting habit, wouldn't you say, to say that my habit of eating gluten-free is actually impacting on my business growth. And I can see the direct links between how I feel and how I show up in my business and what I'm putting in my mouth. So it's a really interesting one. Okay, number 2 surprising habit that supports my business growth is actually taking a slow, meandering walk every morning. Now, I go on that walk with my beautiful dog Munchkin, and I'm not a power walker on my morning walk. I wake up so slow. I have fresh lemon and warm water in the mornings, and then I closed eyes, pop my shoes on, and I wander out the door with Munchkin, and we go for a slow meandering walk in the mornings. Some days I listen to podcasts, some days I listen to walking meditations, some days I listen to an audible book, some days I don't listen to anything. But that habit is very good for my business in a number of different ways. So number 1, where I feel like I'm needing some inspo and to listen to other people, it's great to create that space and that consistent habit of listening into something every day. And particularly where I want to get through a great audio book, because it's tied into my walk, if I'm out walking for at least an hour each morning, and I usually listen to books on 1.5 times, I can get through plenty of chapters in that time. So I usually, if I'm listening to an audiobook, it's 3 or 4 days of walking and that audiobook is complete. So it's a really great way to get through my audiobooks quickly. But also that morning walk is a really beautiful boundary in my business. To be able to create that space to not like roll out of bed and start talking to clients straight away. One, it means when I do talk to clients, I'm switched on and I've got lots of oxygen in my system. I have, had that beautiful morning walk. I've got a chance to get my head together. And I really have set myself up for the day really beautifully. So by the time I have my first client call, I am on, right? I've got myself together. So that's really powerful as well. But also part of the reason why this morning walk is so important to me is because it's part of my vision of what I want my life to look like when I'm a multimillionaire. And it's one of those parts of that vision that I can do today. So every time I get up in the morning and go for my beautiful meandering slow walk, I am living like Millionaire Tash today. And that's a really powerful thing to do. So have a look at, what you think your life will look like when your business hits its mark, when you get to that goal, wherever you want to get to, and pick something from that you can start doing now. And if it's walking, then walk. If it's having someone come in and clean your house once a week, do that. If it's something that's free, start now. If it's something that's paid and you need to get to a certain income level to do it, set yourself the goal of getting to that income level and get there as quickly as possible. So the reason why I brought this habit up is because it has so many different layers to how it supports my business. It's about setting my day up correctly. It's about having those boundaries so I'm not having to roll out of bed straight into client time and feel rushed. I feel so spacious every morning. It's also about what it's doing for my body. Of course, I get all my steps done in the morning, so I don't have to worry about getting my steps in at any other point in the day. I do more vigorous activity in the afternoons, but I don't do that every day. But I do my meandering walk every morning. And it contributes in terms of like listening to things and getting that inspiration and those ideas. Like it just contributes in so many different ways, which I really love. Okay. Habit number 3 that might surprise you, grows my business, is coloring in. Now, one of the things that I love to do at the end of every day is track my income. And I love doing it because it's the perfect window into what's going on with my mindset. It helps me get clear on how much money is coming in my business and show insane gratitude for that money. And also the coloring in part is the last thing I do each day when I'm working in my business. So today, to give you an insight, I am recording these podcast episodes. And then when I finish this podcast episode, that's me done for today. So what I'll do is whenever I close the lid of my laptop for the day and let my laptop, do its thing overnight and have a rest, then I pull out my income tracking. I check up how much money have I brought in today, and I do this beautiful coloring in. That coloring in is not just great for my money mindset, great for me paying attention to my cash flow and looking at my income stuff, great for my gratitude, that's my gratitude for the day done, but also it is this beautiful transition between working my business and tuning out for the day. So because I do that coloring in, and sometimes it takes me 2 minutes, sometimes it takes me a little bit longer, depending on how good a day it's been. But when I do that coloring in, I am signaling to both sides of my brain, okay, the day is done, it's time to shut down. Another little habit that I do is whilst I'm coloring in, if things pop to mind that I need to remember to do tomorrow, I just quickly stop and write those down in tomorrow's planner page in my planner. So when I step out of my office and out to have dinner or off to take Munchie for another walk or go to the gym or whatever it is, I am switched off my business. That is a boundary. And it means I'm way more present with my partner. I'm way more present with my friends if I'm catching up with them afterwards. I'm way more present with my munchkin. I'm way more present to my exercise that I'm doing and moving my body, or the rest that I choose to embark on. Or sometimes I'll get a massage. I'll get someone to come to my house and give me a massage in the afternoons. I'm way more present and I can totally relax into it because my mind isn't racing with things I haven't done today or things I have to remember for tomorrow, or just still hasn't quite shifted gears from business mode into outside of business mode. So that coloring in one juicy little habit does so much for my business growth, because I know that when I turn up the next day in my business, I'm going to show up way more effective if I've actually switched off in between. And I know it can be so tempting to just say, I've got an entrepreneurial brain. I never stop thinking about my business. I love my business. It's just who I am. I totally can't switch it off. But by consistently saying that to yourself, you are keeping that true. And if you, in listening to how I talk about switching off in the evenings, think, maybe I do want a little bit of that, just try it out. Just experiment with it, because that little transition from I'm working now into I'm not working now is hyper powerful. So that's habit number 3. Aren't these surprising? I thought this was so cool when I wrote them down. Anyway, number 4 is getting my hair done. So at the moment it's every 3 weeks, but we'll move that down to every 2 weeks, and then eventually I'll go down to every week. It's had to move to every 3 weeks because the hairdresser that's closest to me actually has closed down. So whereas before it was 5 minutes to get to the hairdresser, now it takes me about 45 minutes to get to the hairdresser. But I go and get my hair done. I had it done today. Can you tell? Oh, it's so shiny. So I go and get my hair done, and I usually get them to do a little soft curl or something in it every 3 weeks at the moment. And I don't get it cut every time. I get it cut every second time. And I don't get it colored every time. I just get a treatment and like a shampoo treatment and blow dry or curl one session, and then the next one I'll get the cut and color and then blow dry as well. And so that is something I always book that in for a morning, and then that day I will schedule time after I get back from the salon to do some videos and Facebook Lives and podcasts and all sorts of things, because my hair's feeling great. And so having that consistent habit in my business and in my life actually means my business is growing, because I'm consistently creating content. I do more Facebook Lives on that day. I pre-record little videos for being used in different launches and all sorts of things. And I can batch up a bunch of stuff because I've got my hair done and I'm feeling really amazing. And I mean, who doesn't feel amazing after getting like their scalp massaged? And the salon that I go to has massage chairs as well. So like lie back and get a massage whilst I'm getting my hair done. Like, it's absolutely amazing. They make me a little cup of tea, and I have a great chat about random things that are happening in town. It is so nurturing, and it's so lovely to be looked after. And it just puts me in a really great space of mind and frame of mind. And sometimes while I'm getting my hair done, I'll be like jotting down little ideas about the things I want to record. And so I'm really like using that time effectively. Sometimes I just sit and read magazines about what Meghan Markle's up to or whatever. But most of the time I'll be like thinking about a few things in my business and just jotting things down, especially while there's like usually a few times I have to wait for things, like wait for the color to set in, or waiting for the treatment to go, or whatever it might be. And so I will just like jot down things for those videos. And so when I do sit down to do the videos, not only do I have my content plan and I do all of my podcast episodes from there, but then I also have all these extra little ideas of things, and I just go and do them straight away. And it's super fun. So I love that, getting my hair done. And if you can get it done weekly, I recommend getting it done weekly. I used to, as I said, before the local salon shut down. And that was so good. Like every Friday, I would go get my hair done in the morning. I would come home and record a bunch of podcast videos, a bunch of little videos. I would do some Fun Friday type things in groups and all sorts of stuff. And then I have my hair nice. So usually Davey and I would go out to dinner on a Friday night. Like, it was so good. And so when we do settle back into Australia, somewhere where I can get a salon nearby, I'll be going back to weekly. Do it. Just do it. You deserve it. You totally deserve it. Number 5 is I have a toy box, and my toy box habit I think is really good for my business growth. So my toy box is where I put all of the fun projects, ideas, new product ideas and things. It's an Evernote notebook called Tash's Toy Box. And what I do is I have this habit of whenever I think of something new, like I might be somewhere and think, oh, I could do a retreat and we'll do this and we'll do that, or we should do this thing at conference, or maybe I could add this thing to the academy, or maybe I could make this entire new course on blah, 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 blah. Or something that I did a few weeks ago was when I go back to Australia, I'm going to do some partnered speaking gigs. So I will reach out to 3 or 4 members of the Lady Posse who I know are all in one particular local area, and we'll put on like a half-day mini conference together. So I've had this amazing idea and I really want to do it. And so I was kind of working up that idea from the toy box, because that was already in the toy box from several years ago. But my habit is that when those ideas come up, I set a timer on my phone for 5 minutes. I go straight into the toy box. I create a new note for it in the toy box, and I spend 5 minutes playing with that idea. And then I close the lid of the toy box and I go back to what I was doing. Now, this is really powerful for my business, because I know that in order for me to really hit my goals, get that growth, get that scaling happening, I need to stop playing with shiny objects. And I know that I can come up with lots of really cool ideas, but that's not actually where I need to be focusing my energy and attention in my business. I know that I've got a plan, particularly for the next 1 year, and I need to stay focused on that specific plan and make sure I'm nailing that before I start playing with any other new shiny things. So what the toy box habit does is that it allows me to still keep generating all these creative ideas and play with that creativity, but I'm doing it in a way where it doesn't derail and sabotage my business. And so what I do is on every second Friday afternoon, I have toy box time scheduled into my calendar. So if I've got all my jobs done for the week and I'm really feeling it, I want to play in the toy box, I will allow myself a couple of hours to pull something out of the toy box and play with it, and design things up or put more detail into it, or maybe reach out to a few people and ask some questions. And then when toy box time is over, I put it back in the toy box and I move on. And then so I keep pulling things out and playing with them out of the toy box, and then I put them back until they're ready and there's space in my business for those things to come to life. Now, the beautiful thing about the toy box habit is that I don't ever shut down new ideas. When new ideas come, I reward them and encourage them and celebrate them, because what we focus on and what we show gratitude for is what we create more of. And generating ideas is one of my zone of genius things. And it's also a value proposition of mine for my clients and for people who are following me, because there's always new cool strategies coming out and I hear new things on podcasts, but that doesn't mean I need to stop what I'm doing in my business right now and derail everything else in order to focus on that new thing. What it means is it's something that needs to go in the toy box and I'll play with it later. So it's a really beautiful strategy and a great habit for me to get into that does support my business growth. Now, the great thing is, and I love Liz Gilbert's take on this. She talks about this in her book, Big Magic, where she says that if an idea comes knocking at you enough and you don't pick it up and run with it, it will go and knock on someone else's door. And something that I have recognized with the plethora of ideas that are in my toy box is that it's really fun for me to hand those ideas on to someone else. And so a lot of my VIP clients have products, services, courses, memberships that were actually born in my toy box for my business and my ideas. And I've gone, look, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is this to my model? How likely am I to actually implement this in the next few years? Like, is this really aligned with my core business? No. Okay, well, whose business is it aligned with? And sometimes I know exactly who to go and give it to straight away and talk to them about it straight away. But a lot of the time it will come up in like a VIP session. So I'll be doing a VIP session with a client and they'll be talking about wanting to do this like membership thing and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, I had the most amazing idea for something like this. It's in my toy box. Let's play with it. And I will pull it out and I'll say, you can do this. Like, it doesn't have to be mine. Here, do this, blah, 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 blah. And there have been masterminds and group events and conferences and new courses and new memberships all born out of my toy box. And I know that idea just came to me to wait until the perfect client came through that I could hand that over to. And now I know that that thing is going to exist and I can help that person bring it out into the world, and I don't have to be responsible for the ongoing management of that thing. Ideation is one of my favorite things to do, and I get to do it really beautifully because I have this amazing toy box. So my toy box habit of allowing myself to play with new ideas but then putting them in the toy box helps my business to grow in so many different ways. And I think it's a really surprising habit, right? Like, not running with every single idea and actually having a toy box where you put your toys. Yeah, love it. Okay, now number 6, we've got 7 surprising habits. Number 6 is taking time out. And I understand that when you are in the thick of things and you are like going for a goal and you're in the middle of a launch, that thinking, oh, I should take time out is not necessarily aligned to what you believe is actually going to grow your business. But as a reformed workaholic / perfectionist, I can tell you that the more time I take away from my business, the more effective I am in my business, the better my business runs, the more I keep those boundaries about who does what in my business, rather than Tash coming in and taking jobs off that I've delegated to someone else and now I'm taking them back. I'm undelegating them because I've got all this time and I never take time off, so I might as well do it. I'm here. So the more I take time off in my business, the better my business works and the faster it grows. And I have actually talked about this in a previous podcast episode, which I will link back to for you in the show notes, where I talked about taking time out in your business. That was episode number 192. So if you go to tashcorbin.com/203, you'll find the show notes for today. But if you want to go straight to that episode, it's tashcorbin.com/192. And in that, I talked about how taking time out in your business isn't always just an all or nothing concept. You can take time out in your business by making sure you finish at 4 o'clock every single day. That is taking time out in your business every single day and actually shutting down. You can take time out in your business by having a 3-day weekend once a month. You can take time out in your business by taking time out of a certain part of your business. So you don't do client-facing time every second week, or you don't do client-facing time on Mondays and Fridays. You only see clients on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. You don't do any group stuff except for on Wednesdays, right? So if you keep those boundaries around things, then that helps you to create this sense of spaciousness and this capacity for lots of time off, not just a 4-week chunk once a year, but actually spaciousness throughout your time in your business. And taking time away supports me, my mental well-being, my health and well-being. It supports my creativity, my idea generation. It supports my enthusiasm and motivation for my business. It supports me having a great relationship, and not feeling like my business is costing me my relationship or my friendships or my social life. And all of those things add up to a more effective Tash and a more successful business. So taking time away habitually is actually responsible for a lot of my business growth. Cool, right? Okay. Final surprising habit, number 7, of surprising habits that support my business growth is actually decluttering. And I love decluttering in lots of different ways. We do this in my Fast Money Challenge. So in the Fast Money Challenge, I talk about the different layers of decluttering that you can do for your business. And I declutter whenever I'm going for a goal. It's part of my manifesting process. So whether it's my monthly income goal, or I've got like a 10-day short-term income goal, or I'm going for a longer term goal, I've got a launch goal, I want to manifest enough money to buy something or do something or go somewhere, I will, as part of that process of manifesting the money and the stuff that I need for that to become a reality, I will declutter. And there are different layers of decluttering that I do. So decluttering layer number 1 is a physical declutter. So whether that's tidying my desk consistently, get in the habit of tidying your desk. Like, keep your workspace nice and organized and decluttered. It might be decluttering my entire office, or decluttering my purse or my handbag, or I have a laptop bag and sometimes it's got boarding passes and all sorts of old cards and things in that sorts of things in that. So making sure that I'm consistently decluttering those things, and keeping it feeling spacious physically. So physical spaciousness. Decluttering is the first stage of feng shui from the people that I've learned feng shui from. The fastest way to slow down the energy of a space is to fill it with clutter. Hashtag let's watch some hoarders and see just how true that is. So keeping my space decluttered and having a physical declutter is a really powerful way of actually supporting my business growth. Second way I declutter is a digital declutter. So I recently did a declutter where I decluttered my calendar. I had lots of random blocks in my calendar for random things. So I had like blocking out Mondays for this and blocking out Wednesdays for this, and a block out every Friday afternoon for toy box time and all those sorts of things. And there were all these blockouts, and I wasn't really doing all of the blockouts because there were so many of them. So what I did was I actually went in and decluttered all of the things out of my calendar that were recurring appointments or like random appointments that didn't need to be there. And I just left like the bare minimum appointments. And then what I did was I actually went into my Acuity and changed my hours of work, so I didn't need to keep blocking out time all the time. But I just put in 3 time blocks for the 3 most important things. And they are recurring weekly time blocks. And it was so good. My calendar is spacious again. And that spaciousness creates so much excitement for me. It energizes me. It means there's room for more in my calendar. I've decluttered that unnecessary stuff that might have been in there. And it's just made a really significant difference. So you can declutter your calendar. That's part of the digital declutter. I also, when I do the digital declutter, I just tidy up, like if my downloads folder has got a few too many things in it, or that My Documents or your desktop, your inbox, all of those spaces where you might just have clutter accumulating digitally, I clear it out. I have a folder called business development and a folder called personal development. And if I go to webinars or I sign up for freebies or any of those sorts of things, I will save a lot of those things into there. And then every month I declutter it, because I'm really honest with myself that if I haven't watched it within a month, the chances of me watching it are pretty low. So just declutter it. And that creates so much spaciousness, and it really releases that heaviness of, I still have all those things to watch. I don't have to worry about that because I've decluttered it. It's gone now. It's okay. And if I really need to learn that thing, I have this amazing magical tool. It's called Google. I can usually find something or other that's going to meet that need. So it's totally fine. And I'm allowed to create that digital spaciousness. Another layer of decluttering that I do is energetic decluttering. So you could call this mindset, energetic, or emotional decluttering. So some of the things that I do is I might write down a list of all of the worries that I have, and then I'll tap on them. I will ho'oponopono on things if I need to. I'll do some journaling, but I just clear all of that sort of mental clutter that's going on. Also, sometimes I find, even when I have my daily end of day kind of get everything out onto the page so I don't carry that around with me, I still sometimes find that I am carrying mental clutter, like to-do lists, or I must remember that thing for the shopping. So I do make sure that I consistently am in the habit of just putting those things down somewhere. Now, in our phones, both Davey and I have a family, a family like management app, and that has shopping lists, to-do lists, and a shared calendar and a shared diary as like journal of great things, like a gratitude journal, and a shared message board. It's a really cool app. I love it. And in that app, I have the shopping list and stuff. So sometimes I'll be like, I have to remember to buy that. I have to remember to buy that. And it's just a habit to get into, to get it out of your brain and put it in the app. Because if you put it in the app, both Davey and I can see it, and we might be able to take care of some things for each other. And not only that, when I go to the shops, I will actually remember to open the app and find it. So it's just getting into the habit of using the systems that you have to declutter your mind. So if you're holding on to that to-do list, get it down. Even if it's just on paper, just get it down somewhere. If you have a bunch of like grievances that you're holding in your brain and you're like, I must remember to be cranky at that person, write it down, forgive it, tap it away, and just let it go. Because all that emotional and mental clutter is slowing down your business growth. Okay, so on that note of decluttering and keeping your business growth going quicker, I want to share with you a free resource. It's called Fast Track Your Startup. It's not just for startups, but it is focused mostly on those early stages of business. And in that training, I take you through the things that you don't need to focus on and the things that you do need to focus on to get that income going up and up and up quickly in your business. So it helps you to declutter things that you don't necessarily need to be doing. And it also helps you focus and prioritize on those things that are going to bring in income quickly. So all the links will be with the show notes, and you can grab the link to that free resource at tashcorbin.com/203. Before we close up on today's episode, I'd love to know which of my 7 surprising habits surprised you the most, and what habit are you going to implement into your business to fast track your business growth? Come on over to the Heart-Centered Soul-Driven Entrepreneurs Facebook group. Use the hashtag #PodcastAha. Let me know you're listening to episode 203 and let me know what you're going to do differently. What is the habit that you are going to work on? Until next time, gorgeous entrepreneur, I cannot wait to see you shine. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now. Would you like more tips, tools, and resources to help you grow your heart-centered business? Head to tashcorbin.com today.